Welcome to Simply Caroline, a podcast dedicated to women empowerment where we will discuss a bunch of different subjects such as life, parenting, love, business, money, relationships, healing, recovery, addiction, entrepreneurship, and so much more. A podcast I'll do my best to keep simple, fun, and relatable and bring you tools to help you better your life. So thank you for being here. And here's your host, myself, Caroline Blanchard. Hello, everyone, and thank you for being with us again this week. I have a very powerful woman with us this week, Gloria Boyne. How are you?
I'm terrific, and thank you for having me this morning. Thank you, Carolyn.
It's an honor and a pleasure. Thanks to you for coming on. So Gloria is a part of a great book that was just launched. You can get it on Amazon. It's called 22 Powerful Women in Network Marketing Reveal Their Key to Success. And for having read Gloria's story, I can tell you that it's an amazing one. But, let's go back to the roots, Gloria. Let's talk a bit about you. How did you start in the industry of network marketing?
It was really by accident. My sister, who lived in California at that time, came to visit me, and she shared with me that she was associated with a company that, was for women, that you could make money. And that was the least of my ever that I could ever see me doing it. And the same for her, because she was in the medical field. She was, her and her husband were at university studying to be doctors. And I thought, why would you be associated with this? However, it was just, when I looked at the marketing, it was an opportunity for women to be able to make girls what they call girl size pay, to be able to make things happen for your family. And even though I wasn't the least bit interested, because I was going to university at that time to complete a business degree, I thought, what have I got to lose? I'm going to try it. And it turned out that I really had lots of fun with it. And that's what really kept me going, was the fun, because it was very different at that time. There was no training, no mentors. It was by gosh and by golly on most instances. But I think that that my enthusiasm for just knowing that, hey, this is a way to make lots of money, was exciting, because we were a relatively newlywed couple who was, I always say, we were robbing Peter to pay Paul. And we just needed those extra funds. And so that was just a new way to be able to do it.
Yes. And, let's keep in mind that that's like over 30 years ago.
That's right.
So thank you for being a pioneer in this industry as well, because you did break down a lot of barriers for us who came into this industry like later on. But, these days, this industry doesn't have the bad rap as much that it used to have. But back in your days, that was like quite something to explain to someone. I'm going to sell you products. I will make the money on it, and I'm doing it for a company. So how was that to try to get people to understand that it was a totally unconventional business model and it was legit?
When I think back, it really was a challenge. But I think that what kept me going was the more people told me that I couldn't do it. I guess I'm quite stubborn. And the more they said you couldn't do it, then I just was determined that I was going to prove them wrong. And that was my fuel for my fire. The more they said, even my husband was at that time, he was not positive at that time. But it was really amazing. He could see I was bringing home some money. And the one night I came home and he was actually reading the manual for this company. And I remember looking at him like, what? And he looked at me and he said, well, he said, since it looks like you're determined to do it, I better learn more about it. So with that, it was like a turning point for me from him, but there were still many people that kept saying, you can't do this. There's no way you're going to ever make money. No way that you're going to reach those levels. And that was my fuel. I was determined to prove everyone wrong, which I did. It was fun.
You did, and you became a really big name in that company. And that's a bit what I want to talk about with you today, leadership, because you are such a leader. And hearing what you're just saying now, that you were stubborn and you kept on going, I put that as leader qualities. It's when you decide that it's going to be your way, and you will achieve it. But how did you step into those shoes of being a leader? Because when you start in this industry, you start for yourself. Yes, you do have some support, less back then, but you have some support now. But you're pretty much like by yourself, and you're building a team around you. And then it's not like conventional business where you will be promoted to manager. So they give you a leader position so people respect you. In this industry, in network marketing, you really need to build that respect and build the fact that you're a leader. So give us a bit of your tips on that.
One of the things that I did, I'm an avid reader. And so I picked up books on personal development and how to become better at who I was. Then I got connected with some of the big leaders, just listening to their, well, at that time, this is really dating me, the tapes. When I would do my walking and running in the mornings, I would put the cassette tape in my Walkman, so you know how old that is, and listen to that, and on how to be better, and just realizing that it was all up to me to make that change. And I know that at one time I had a friend who I hadn't seen for a time, and she was also with me in this business. And when she saw me, she said, you have really changed. To me, I, didn't quite comprehend what she said, but she said that my change was not only in how I was thinking, but she said that change that I made in my mind actually changed in how I was presenting myself, my total deportment. So I just stayed connected with whoever I could find that I felt that was successful. That was the key. If I looked to people within the company. If they were successful, I would reach out and ask, what are they doing? What do they do? I remember one lady said, and that's where I got the concept with listening to the tapes. Because when I met her, she took out, the plastic, that time, the plastic bags. It was from Safeway, if I think you may have that store. And it was full of cassette tapes. And she said, this is my success. And I thought, okay, if she's doing it, and she really was, advanced in the company and had, won a lot of the prizes within the company. And I thought, okay, so that's what I started doing. It was like maybe it was like a brainwashing, but I'm here to tell you, I think that made me a much better person, to build relationships, to be able to communicate with people, and most of all, to feel good about myself. I think that we, as women, do not do that, do not feel good about ourselves in many aspects.
Yes. And again, I'm sorry for repeating that, but back in those days, because you are someone who broke barriers, and thank God for women like you who did that. So it's easier for us. But even now, it's not that easy. But, it's really like building a leader, what you're talking about. And
Right.
we can take it for the network marketing industry, but it really goes into every single area of your life.
Mm.
If you want to become better at something, listen to someone who's good at it. And I feel like I'm listening to you, and we're talking about cassettes, and now in our days we're talking about the law of attraction, manifestation. Like, we put different words on it, but basically it's all the same. What you
Correct.
feed your brain with
That's right.
will happen, and will build your confidence, and will build your skills, basically. So how do you do it now? Like, are you still actively doing these practices?
I am. When I retired from my first company, I thought, you have good attitudes, bad attitudes. Well, I had a bad attitude. I call it a bad attitude because I was annoyed that I was leaving the company. And so I said, I am not listening to anything that's positive. And interesting enough, for 2 years, I did not listen to anything. I did not pick up a book. I did not listen to any, it's, with the on YouTube or any of those, nothing. I was, in fact, if you saw my office, I have two walls that are filled with books of personal development, leadership, every aspect of leadership, from communication to organization, etc. And I would look at them and go, okay, I think I need to give these all away. So interesting enough, I was introduced to another company, and all of a sudden it was light bulb moment. I thought, oh my word, I need to do this and, pick up where I left. And it made me realize how important that was, and how really that 2 years that I did not do any of that, in looking back, it was like I was taking steps backward. And in my association with, meeting people today, I see people who do not connect with people that perhaps are positive, not necessarily successful, but just somebody that could be, a highlight in their life. And they do no reading, no connection with anyone, and they're not people that you want to be around with. It's
There's so
almost
many
like
things that I want to add to this, like, because you've touched so many different points, and I want to come back to your retirement, and I want to
okay,
come back to the new company. But what you're saying, you remind me of myself. you know,
yeah,
Sometimes when I wasn't in a good place, I would hear positive people, and I would be like, oh, they're just so annoying. Of course, they're always happy. And then you start being mad at those people for
right,
being happy, and you're such in a bad place that you think that they're faking it.
right,
It's
right,
like,
right.
for me, it was giving me headaches. Like, I was just like, oh my goodness, I would close the podcast or whatever. I needed to go to something more depressing. So we do that as human, like when we don't
Yes,
feel well, we tend to try to stay in that state. But
yes,
it all comes down to, you know, making the decision
absolutely. Yes,
to feel
to
better
change.
and be better. And it came in the form of someone else, like triggering your curiosity for something new. But let's talk about why you were in that, you know, that down place. Because we won't name the name of the company. But when you told me that, when I met you and you told me that, I was shocked. So
Mhm.
basically, that company is, a very large company, one of the first ones in network marketing. But basically, they retire you when you're 65. And from what I'm hearing from you, it's not necessarily a good experience for everyone because, talk to us about like, were you ready? How did you take it? How did it make you feel? All of this we want to hear.
Okay. It you have to retire. What the retirement part is, and they give you what they is called a family security. It's like a residual that you receive for retiring. And in order to receive that, you must reach the very top of the company, which that was my goal. And it sounded good when I was 40. Uh, and as I got closer to the date, I just felt that I was at such a peak in my life to be able to mentor and to coach people. In fact, I actually became a certified coach so that I knew I could continue after I left in order to give me something to have that association with positive people and to be able to mentor people. And knowing that it was that I had to leave it was a sad time for me because like I said, it was just, I felt that it was such a peak part of my life and that I could certainly have carried on for I don't know, many years, because I'm still doing it today. And I've been gone for quite some time. So, when I look at that, thinking that, the amount of wisdom that is taken away from that particular company for the people that this is, and now this is just my opinion, that they have lost so much, because I think of some of the women that were retired before, when I was still with the company. And I mean, these women were brilliant speakers, because those are some of the things that we learned. I remember the very first time that I was given the opportunity to teach. All right. And I mean, I had never done anything like that. And I had some friends take me because it was in a different city. We drove. I laid in the back seat saying, I'm going to be sick. But you know what? Those are just great experiences to take one more step, to step out of that comfort zone. And little by little, I learned. And so, when I think of the number of people, I mean, I have spoken to audiences that are 5,000 people, from one to, from nobody. And I remember doing my presentations, and that's where you get really good at, and becoming confident in meeting people, communicating with them, building those relationships that were so important. And so, it was just knowing that, because that's where I was. And financially, when I figured out, they gave us the opportunity to stay 2 more years, but then they would take, or no, 1 year, and then they would take 2 years off of the end of the residual. So financially, it wasn't feasible. So I just thought, no, I will leave. And then I was doing business coaching at that time, did that, and then of course was introduced to other companies. And my life did take a turn after that, because I was in caregiving mode for 7 years. So, it was trying to balance it all. But
Yeah, and it might sound attractive when you hear, okay, at 65 they retire you and then they give you 15 years of residual.
right.
But I was thinking about that the other day, and I was just like, well, there has to be a lot of different conditions, because otherwise they wouldn't survive, with the amount of
Right.
people that would retire. So it's not that attractive, but it's not that lucrative, I should say. It's a cool residual, but it's not that lucrative when you've been used to being in the high six figures, and then boom, you fall into another level. But financial apart, what shocked me the most when you told me that, and what I could see that I would feel, because 65 is the new 50,
That's right.
it's
Absolutely.
like you have, like, I know someone who started a business at 74 and he's
Correct.
now 94 and he made 85 million.
That's right.
I mean, he started at 74. So
Correct.
65 is so young, especially in our society. You must have felt robbed of your I don't know, I don't want to say self-esteem and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what did it do to your personality and self-confidence?
Well, I was just going to say confidence. It really rocked my confidence, and it was interesting because and I know that I was angry. I mean, I was angry that I had to leave.
Mm,
And my husband kept saying, but you know what? It's free money, Gloria. And I go, that may be, but it's not happy free money. And then I remember going to Hawaii to spend some time with my sister when they were on vacation there. And she said, I have never seen you so unhappy. And really, she said, you are angry. And I said, you hit the nail on the head because, I left something that I absolutely loved. I love the connection with the people. I love the mentoring. And so, yes, it did shake my confidence. And I remember when I was starting something else, it actually was almost a challenge for me to start doing what I used to do, because I said to somebody, I said, I have lost my edge. And that you do, because of the fact that, for those 2 years, I wasn't connecting with positive people. I wasn't connecting with anything that was positive in my life other than, you just, do your daily activities, and it wasn't a fun time. And so now when I realized it was a part that I needed to go to learn to be able to help others to know that to make that transition in retiring. Maybe they choose to retire. I've seen people where they choose to retire and they're unhappy as well. And so just understanding that there is a transition and learning how to find what makes you happy, because that's what life is about. If you love to do what you're doing, life will return many things back to you.
yes. And I guess that retirement can be seen in a lot of different ways, but it should definitely be a choice.
Yes.
Because work is not the same thing for everyone. And I say work, and in network marketing, we do work, but I
Yes.
feel that it's not the same kind of work, and it brings us so much more than just like the financial side.
Right.
So it should be a choice because, what comes to my mind when I think about that situation, it's like at a certain point in your life, they tell you you're not the right age anymore to do this. So
Mm.
that bugs me, and I will let that go. But I'm hitting 50 soon, so I'm starting to think about that. Like you start to have your, oh, I'm getting older. Will I be too old to do this or this? So I can't imagine at 65 when you still feel like you're on fire, someone telling you, okay, you're done. So it should go with really choices, because let's get to the good part. Now you started with another company and you just basically reinvented yourself and rebuilt yourself. And I follow you on LinkedIn. You
Okay.
are um, you are so inspiring, and
Okay. Thank
you are
you.
so consistent and regular and positive, and good for you. Good for you for doing that.
Thank you.
And thank
Thank
you.
you.
But it was, I'm sure it was a process to get back there to feel like a leader again. So how did you build back that leader?
I just like you say, talk about age. I don't think age is only a number, and that's where I'm at. You know, I have been, well, I mean, you could figure out how long. I've been retired for 11 years now from my very original company. So, to think that, it has nothing to do with what your age is telling you. It really is all, I think, mindset. Um, Life is about mindset. And yes, we can, illness or different health challenges can stop us or put us on a different path. But I think that again, it goes back to choice. How much choice are we making in taking care of ourselves and staying well? Today I'm with a health and wellness company now, and it's amazing. I find it almost I'm taken aback at how people are very nonchalant, and they go, oh well, it's just, I'm 70 now, so it really doesn't matter. Hello. uh, you know, um, I just think that we all can live amazing lives, I don't know, way past 100. I think that, we have been so focused on saying that 65 is our retirement, which I think is, again, that's just my opinion, because my energy level is really high, even higher with what I'm doing now, and just feeling good and having, great brain clarity, all of that we can choose to have that,
Yeah.
or we've got the choice to just sit on a chair and I guess do, I don't know, whether I've had people say, well, do you knit? I go, nope.
Well,
you know
you just said a thing here, and I've witnessed some people close to me going into retirement and losing their edge completely
yes,
because they lost part of their identity. And yes, I know that you should not identify yourself as your career, but when you do something 30, 40 years, it's part of your DNA at some point. It's part of
absolutely,
you.
yes,
And there is a difference if you do something and you hate it,
right,
which unfortunately a high percentage of the population are doing, working for a paycheck and just showing up every single day at a job that they just can't wait for the weekend and then can't wait for the
mhm,
holidays and the retirement. But there's also those people that really love what they're doing, and it gives them the edge. And I think that that in itself keeps you young and keeps you healthy,
right,
because we know now how much, positive psychology is associated to health. It's directly associated.
right.
So if you don't feel like you're thriving anymore, it will affect your health.
Absolutely, because when I was caregiving, and it was very intense. It was first my mother, and then she passed away, and then my husband had health challenges, and he was doing really well, but then he passed away suddenly,
I'm
and
very
then
sorry.
my father, who him and I were really close, and he was really healthy, and then he picked up the MRSA bacteria, which I understand all of us carry, but it affected him, and he passed away within 6 months as well. So all that
I'm
was,
sorry.
it was so intense that I felt I had lost myself, because it was just that caregiving and staying in touch. I remember driving to where my father lived, and I went there every week. I was there, and I'm so glad I did, because my father passed away at 98. Amazing man, and him and I just had great conversations. And he just was this. His attitude was never give up. And you can do it. And I probably learned that from him a lot, because him and I had that amazing relationship. And my last conversation with him was, he died in November, and in October I was lamenting the fact that I was needing to find somebody to do my driveway for winter, and I said, I just am having a tough time finding someone. And here's my dad, 98, saying, "Oh, Gloria, I'll come and do that for you." And he was just, his like, I'm determined, I can do anything. And so he's given that to all of us. I have, three siblings, that we all have that very same attitude, that it's never give up. And I am so very grateful. And yes, you can lose the edge if, during that caregiving, it was like I felt it flat, if that makes sense. And then coming back into this, it was like I had been revitalized and going, wow, not only the product, but the organization, the marketing, the culture of the family, that make it like a family culture, that it's fun. And I think that's what we need to look at. Can I find something that can give me lots of connection with good people, staying positive, and knowing that, yes, you still have to have balance and doing things that you like and want to do, But the thing is that if we stay healthy and positive, we will live for a long time.
And stay engaged, I would say too.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
that's probably, with my personal experience, that's where I saw the decline. It's when people retire and stop really working their brains as much as they used to. They kind of accept that now they're in a quiet phase,
I
which
know.
is,
Yes.
that's where you're kind of declining. And I think that if you would do that at 30 years old, you would
Mm-hmm.
decline the same. And I think that, COVID is something that showed us that it's not
That's
a
right.
question of age. When you're
That's right.
isolated, it affects everyone.
Absolutely.
So it really affects the health. So, it's funny because this podcast, I was really going for leadership and we are talking about that, but I realized we're talking about a lot too of, don't stop yourself at any age. You need to keep on going. And yes, we're talking about here having a business, but that can be in anything. It can be in
Mm-hmm.
hobbies that you have. It can be in
Mm-hmm.
activities, in traveling, whatever your budget permits you, but it has to be something that you're passionate about. And I think that that's the key to living healthy and living happy. And that is pretty much at whatever age, like I said, you can be 30 and miserable, and you can
Mm-hmm.
be 80 and super happy. And
Happy.
actually, like Jimmy Smith, that I absolutely love, is 94. And he's just like, I think he's sharper than me quite often. Not, I think he is. We'll have discussions, and he brings back names of like 30 years ago or this and that, and me, I'm like, yeah, I don't remember that name or whatever. So it's you need to keep your brain really functioning
Right.
consistently and
Yeah.
being happy in what you do, not just, but how did you build back your leadership in your new company?
I, I think that, what I'm doing, it was my enthusiasm. I was so excited about what my results were. The results you can see, within a very short time. And so I just reached out to everybody, anybody and everybody I knew. And it was interesting. I have a friend who has been with me in my very first career, and she still is doing it. But she just always says, "Anything, well, Gloria, anything you're doing, I'm doing. I'm running with you." And it's been fun because that's what is just reaching out to people and telling them about what this is. And it's like back to the same system. Some will, some won't. And next,
Yeah.
it because it's just knowing that that just if you talk to enough people, it's not every. Well, I was going to say it's not for everybody, or so they think. This particular product is for everyone, no matter you need to have it to live, because your immune system, it will be really, supports immune system recovery, brain clarity, all of that. But, but the thing is that, back to the, being programmed, I perhaps just need to take a pill. If I take a pill, that'll make me better. No, no, you need to take responsibility and taking care of yourself, and knowing that there is something out there. And right now, if I this company, it's a breakthrough technology that it's no one has it in the world, and what they've done is worked with it to make it so where this master, it's an antioxidant that they talked about it from the 70s and 80s and didn't know how to give it back to people, and people were being ill because of the low antioxidant in the body. And so now they've just discovered this, and I'm so excited to share it with people. And I guess that's what it is. It's enthusiasm and sharing it with people. And, I just, when they're running with it, I've seen people where they've had, were not feeling good. And then all of a sudden they became, they had the spark back to life. And that's what makes me more excited. And now I'm looking with people that are coming in, and they're wanting to perhaps financially add to their family budget, or I have a few that are really wanting to, go to the top, like what, Jimmy Smith. I've worked with him. He's amazing. He is so inspirational. And I always said, I look at, his age and my age now, and I go, if he could do it, I can do it. It's the same thing. You look at someone and say, if he can do it or she can do it, I can too. And not everything goes 100%. Yes, you will have your peaks and your valleys, but that's just part of life. Some things we have control of, other things we don't. And it's just knowing that, what, if I don't have control with it, it's like learning to live in the moment. That's what I've really in the last while is like live in the moment, enjoy every second of it, because we don't know what's around the corner. And life is short, which I'm sad to think that, we can't live to 200. I just often think, wow, what we could accomplish if we could live to that. How much success and making a difference. And I think that's the key. Is my mission is to make a difference in people's, not only their health, but in their lives financially, to help them and to help them grow. I have people, we have people all over the world, but I have one particular gal in Hawaii who is just such, her enthusiasm. I call her to, I said to her, you feed me with your enthusiasm as well, because she always says, oh, thank you for calling me. But, she does a lot for me. So those are the people to connect with that help you to stay, I always say, stay focused, stay on track, and, to make life happy. That's really what it is.
That's awesome. It's so well said. And that's why I cannot believe that this other company at 65, they're like, let's go of all that wisdom.
Yeah, that's the sad part. That's the sad part.
It doesn't, I can't, whatever. But you piqued my curiosity. So what's that product?
The company name is called Numi. It's only been, it's been a year in July. And what they've done is it's glutathione that each of us, it's a master antioxidant in our body, and it peaks at the age of 20. And every 10 years, we lose about 8 to 12%. And so I laughed and said, well, do you know what, how little I had? But the interesting part is, Dr. Oz has had programs on it about it's one of the keys to fighting off all the diseases that we fear the most. It's really critically important to our life. And what this does is they've nanosized glutathione, because initially in the 70s and 80s and 90s, they were attempting to give it as in pill form. However, your digestive system will destroy most of the ingredients, and you would receive only about 3 to 4% benefit. So then they started to give glutathione IVs, which are very costly. First of all, it takes an hour to do a session, plus it costs you about $300, and you need at least 2 a week. So that became costly, and people couldn't afford it. So that really is what what they did. And now they've nanosized it, they have developed it, they've done proprietary with it, so that they call it hydrostat technology. And so like a strand of hair is 80 nanos, they have nanosized this to 8. So all you do is take a teaspoon, put it in your mouth, swish it from 30 seconds to more, and then it absorbs directly into your blood cells, and that's what it does.
So it's a powerful antioxidant.
Powerful. So it improves your immune system. It reduces your physical, mental fatigue. Enhances your performance for your physical performance. I golf a lot, and so I've taken a swish. They call it you swish. Just before I go for my golf game, and I'm amazed at my length of my hits. I love it.
There you go.
Yeah. And so, it combats any accelerated aging. And there's only two products in this company, and that's what excites me. The other one is a skin spray that you spray all over your face, and it has the glutathione, collagen, hyaluronic acid, and curcumin. So you can spray it any time during the day. They say at least, of course, once. I do, 3, 4 times a day. I've actually put it on my desk so I remember to do it. But the interesting part, I just changed my picture on Facebook, and this photographer that took my picture and the one that I had before, I had been using it only for 7 weeks, and the difference in that skin, that how it looks, and it's just really amazing. So, and I have, being on a good skincare for so many years, thinking, oh, there'll never be any difference, because they said take a before and after picture, and I go, oh, I don't need to, because it will make a difference. And so, yes, it really does. It just refines the pores, and I just think you feel good, look good, as a result of it doing it. So, yeah, and it really is the glutathione is a detoxifier. It has actually 400 different systems that it works with your liver to detoxify. So it's very powerful, and we're worldwide. Well, when I say worldwide, we're in 29 countries within a year. So you know how fast that company has grown.
Wow.
Yeah. And so
sorry.
That's all right. I just find it really exciting because, they've just made it so that, you could, be a member, or you can just be a preferred customer and get it at the same price. And it's very economical compared to what all the others that are on the market. And I know that, I think was that Dr. David Katz said, if you're chronically run down, and your body's just not firing on all your cylinders, and perhaps low glutathione might be the answer. And we don't know, because you know what, the medical system does not check for glutathione unless you ask for it.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find interesting about everything you're saying too, and I feel like we're going towards there more and more. Well, it's been happening for the past 10 years, but it's prevention. But
Yes.
there's still a lot of people that, don't want to invest in their prevention. And when I say prevention, this is like the right vitamins, the right supplements,
Right.
the right products to put on your skin that will, not damage it more than improve it. So these things are prevention, and it's super important. You don't have to wait to be sick or
That's right.
to have a
Yes.
condition to find a way to get better when we're healthy. And that's
Right.
what I find a bit unfortunate, because whether it be your product or whatever, is that sometimes, like, let's say I start taking it today, maybe I'll have a little increase in my energy, but nothing like super drastic, because I'm already healthy. So I'll be
Right.
like, well, it does nothing for me, so I'll stop. It's, for me, it's like, if you start using a product, do your homework, make your research on it.
Yes.
Make sure the clinical studies were made and all of this, that there's some science behind it. And then after, it doesn't need to be a super drastic instant difference for it to be good for your body, because prevention is not,
Right.
it's not an instant feeling that you're like, oh my gosh, I feel so much better.
Right.
But you need to do some prevention in some areas. So thank you for sharing that. If people want to share you, yeah. If people want to reach you, Gloria, how can they reach you?
They could go to my website. It's Neumi, neumi.com/ Gloria B for Bob. And there's lots of information on there, or if you want to, you can just call me directly, and on my, at my number, or, on LinkedIn. Anyways, you could just reach me any ways that you can. I don't know. Do you want me to give my number?
I will put all your information with the podcast.
Okay.
So,
okay. Yeah. When you talk about research, I just wanted to add, when I first started in the end of March, there was 163 studies on glutathione on PubMed. There are over 170,000 now on that particular product. Yes. So, the research, is that how important it is to us today, and we're not aware of it. That's the thing, that we have no idea how this particular antioxidant, is, it impacts every function in our body. So, I just think we all need to feel good because, I remember, one of my mentors saying, if you, feel good, you do good. And that's really what it's about, what life is all about. And you can. So,
Yes.
anyways,
And I agree with you 100%. And, to feel good, you have to also be healthy. And that's another big thing. So, all the
right,
components, you need the right supplements, you need
right,
positive psychology, right people around you. Like
right.
we could go on and on about that. But
Yeah.
I love what you just said here. And it's not the first time I hear about this. And I cannot pronounce the word because I'm French and it's a long word.
It's a long word. Well, I had a difficult time too.
Yeah, but it's not the first time I hear about it. And, it's been in the works for years. It's just that they haven't found well, what I heard in the past is that the delivery of the supplement was still
Yes,
at work. And so if your company found that, amazing.
it
And
is.
thank you so much for being with us. Honestly, it was a beautiful discussion and very honest. And I love your authenticity and your willingness to share your wisdom. And to everyone, go get the book 22 Powerful Women in Network Marketing Reveal Their Key to Success. It's on Amazon. There's Gloria's full story in there. It's so it's amazing to read because yes, it's a cross of, I was going to say 2 generations, but it's like more like 4 generations. You really went through so many different phases of network marketing, and yet there you are again, restarting, and I applaud you for that. Thank you for being with us. What could you leave women with, like our listeners, that one thing that is like a strong belief for you and they need to remember always?
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you, Caroline. I'm really honored to be here. I think one thing that I just have always lived by is that, life is a choice. We hold the power to choose. And so we can decide. And I think that's the most important part, is to remember that we have the choice. And unless we make the choice to change, nothing will ever change. And so it's just knowing that, what, life is beautiful, and it's making that choice to be a part of that beautiful life. So I encourage everyone to, reach out to someone that could, encourage them to, have that positive life every single day and not just occasionally.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
is possible, and some people are not faking it.
No, for sure. No, for
So
sure.
thank you so much. I will put all of
Thank
your
you.
information. Please reach out to Gloria if you need more explanation on the product or in general on leadership. Gloria is also an amazing life coach. To everyone, if you have any questions, comments, suggestion, please reach me at info@simplycaroline.com and I will get back to you. Otherwise, I'll see you next week. Thanks again, Gloria.
Thank you so much, Carolyn. My pleasure.